If you feel like you're kicked out of the property market, this video is for you because it might be the only way that you can get in. So the difference that we're describing today is that we have an owner-occupied property and we have an investment property. One is a rent vesting strategy and the other one is purchasing just a traditional owner-occupied, maximising government grants. Now, the main issue with the owner-occupied scenario right now is that a lot of people can't actually borrow enough money. So in this example, that client could only borrow, say, $400,000. But then they look at the rent vesting strategy and it's not for everyone, but in some cases, it can actually make a really big difference. Now, this was actually a recent example I did with a client of the actual borrowing power difference between the two, and it depends on your situation. So if you actually have an investment property and you're purchasing that, it depends on what your actual rental situation currently is. If you are either room sharing or with parents, this is when you get that maximized borrowing power and it's beneficial for you because you can actually get into the market and the rent that you're receiving will cover or help cover repayments. In this market, typically people are mostly negatively geared, not positively geared, so you typically would make a loss on that property through the rent. However, if you're paying rent of say $700 per week, your actual borrowing power would actually be very similar to what it is over here. So the actual caveat to the rent vesting strategy, if you're using it as a tool to get into the market, you actually need to be paying bugger all in rent. And a lot of people don't want to go live with their parents for the next 5-10 years. So you need to weigh up whether or not this option is the best for you. And normally we have a saying, which is time in the market, not timing of the market. So my opinion would be just get in.